My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus, several years ago, a bumper stick appeared telling, "Stop the world, I want to get off." It was actually a reaction to the modern world's fast movement to inflict evil in every living situation. The high-level insanity of accumulation of nuclear warheads and stocks, and insane attack of innocent people based on religious fanaticism and fundamentalism. The explosion of terrorism by people for their own planned selfish achievements. And there were also the small level insanities seen everywhere. As it happened in Detroit Zoo, they employed more people to check the visitors from doing insane activities. It happened that there was an Australian wallaby who was estranged from its mother, and the kids came and, stoning it, killed it brutally. Some of the elderly people threw their lighted butts of a cigar on the sunning in the alligator's gallery, and the skin of the alligator was getting burned, and it was withered in pain and struggling, and they were in laughter seeing the struggle and suffering of this poor creature. All what we find is that there is the reality of evil existing amidst us, all around us. Sometimes we even happen to be a part of that evil that is being expressed in human society. We may be wondering sometimes what happened for the salvific act of God. Why God allows this evil to be surviving on the face of the earth. Perhaps if God had brutally taken over this evil, we also might not have survived, because often we happen to be the agents of this evil. This brings a fundamental question into our minds. Why the evil still exists? What is the root cause of this evil? Can not God take away every evil from the face of the earth? Here comes actually the question of God's omnipotence and human freedom that has been given to Him. Today's gospel helps us to understand the meaning of the reality of evil in our life situation. The good man sowed the seeds of wheat in the field, but we hear that seeds also were sown by the enemy, by the evil. The gospel asserts one reality, that is existence of evil, which is brutal, which is cruel, which is unjust, which is attacking the other one, which is supporting the selfishness at the risk of killing or inflicting pain on other people. As the theme of evil is introduced and analyzed in today's gospel, Jesus doesn't give a kind of a philosophical explanation about the origin of the evil or anything of that sort, but practical experience of stark reality that is existing as evil around us, within us, and all over the world. the fact is that evil exists. In everyday life, we find ruthless expression of evil attacking the life and safety of other people. The lust taking a predominance in some people to risk the life and dignity of others. And again, the passion to achieve, to accumulate things brings in the power of evil to attack other one unjustly and experience selfish enjoyment to the uttermost level. In the book of Genesis, we find the serpent, evil, comes into the life of human person to create disunity, discordance and fight among humans, creating a controversy between God and man, creating an enmity between man and the nature, and creating a kind of a breaking of a peace and joy within the heart of human persons. Evil has got all kinds of expressions in different levels of human life. In today's gospel, when Jesus speaks about the evil that is being sowed as weeds among the seeds by Satan, he clearly expresses not the philosophy of evil, but the practical experience and exercise of evil in human life. When the owner of the land sows the seeds, and with hope he goes and rests back at his home, at night the evil is being, weeds are sowed among the seeds as to create the problem. The seed of wheat and seed of darnel looks mostly alike, except for a slight color change in its appearance. So when they are sowed, nobody understands. But when it grows, the darnel brings lot of poison to kill human life, whereas wheat brings food for the sustenance of life. This is the difference between good and evil. Good germinates and brings out good grains to support human life, to sustain it and keep it in good growth, whereas the weeds creates poison to kill human life. This is what is happening in our lives when we notice the seeds of weeds and seeds of wheat are sown and grown together. The gospel brings out perhaps three important points about the evil. One, evil is a fact. Evil is a reality. We may not be able to identify the origin of evil, but we can identify the reality of evil. Many times, we may not be really evil, even though we may have some bad habits, bad tastes, or bad inclinations. But when these bad habits or inclinations gets solidified and rooted in our attitudes and actions and ideologies, it turns out to be evil. Not only killing our own growth, but also inflicting hazards in the growth of the goodness in other people too. When bad qualities are crystallized and take different shape, it can be really evil in the society. When simple desires become tragic lust, or evil desires become so predominant as to attack the rights and peace of other people, it becomes evil. Evil doesn't start in us as the highly developed and projected style, but in the form of a kind of an inclination or a bad habit or a kind of a slight style of deviation. But when it grows and solidifies, it brings real evil in us in order to create disturbance and trouble in the society and for the life of other people. Evil has got a soul and manifold expressions for its peculiar existence and survival. So evil is a fact, as Jesus asserts in the parable of today's gospel. The second quality what we notice is that evil often or always comes in disguise. As I said, the seeds of wheat and seeds of weeds doesn't look much different. As they grow, it stems and grows together with the wheat. Apparently, they look alike. So, they take a kind of a typically concealed form as to wear a mask, and it appears, evil appears in the form of good. There is a story told. Once upon a time, evil and good met each other on the way, and they walked together to the shore. At the shore, evil and good, even though they stood apart for some time, happened to come closer and began to communicate. And they said, whatever it may be, this is a shore, nice place, a beach. Why don't we go for a swimming? And both of them just took off their dress and jumped into the sea. They were playing in the waves for some time. After a while, immediately the evil said, I have to be in some place immediately, so I am just going back. He came out from the waters, and it seems that he took the robes of the good and wore it and went off. After some time, the good also came out of the water and looked for his robes. It was found missing, and he found the robes of the evil there. Because there was no other way, he could not walk naked. So he thought of taking those robes, and he wore it and went off. It is said, from that day onwards, they are roaming around the world in disguise. Evil has got the robes of good, and good has the dress of the evil. This is what is happening when we find many a times people taking the face of goodness, the dress of goodness, the expression of goodness, but evil is exercising through that disguised form to cheat people. The evil has changed the whole world life into a disguise, as we find in the name of public growth and development. Common funds are alleviated, and it is siphoned for the selfish enjoyment by many social and political leaders. National and political development projects have become areas of exploitation and unjust accumulation of wealth for individuals. Social management programs have become personal achievement projects for many social leaders and communal leadership. In the name of doing goodness to the society, they make their own pockets larger and their own lives easier. Apparently, the highly skillful and talented areas of games and sports have turned out to be the dark worlds of match fixing and money siphoning. Even in the areas of high level faith and religion, Pharisaism and hypocrisy is living very powerfully to cheat the common people. The law and power order of the society has been manipulated for the advantage of the rich and powerful, not allowing the rights of a poor, marginalized millions in the society. Even the judiciary, which has to identify the truth and establish justice, are being manipulated with nepotism, selfishness, and money influence. Injustice is exercised in many cases, and justice is denied to the poor people. Apparently, the face is of establishing justice, truth, growth, and development for the people, but practically all these agencies or institutions are exploiting the people. Evil is growing through them. This is the reality of the world, but evil appears in disguise of truth, goodness, service, and commitment. Perhaps when people question this kind of social or political or common realities, immediately the explanations will be that they are doing it at the service of the people, for the development of the nation, for the growth of the society. But people know, people of sense know, that it is evil disguised in the form of goodness. This situation brings the last question in our mind. If evil is existing, what can we do? What are we to do? Even though Jesus laid his life in the face of this kind of disguised forms of evil, and he has won over the evil has not been totally vanished from the face of the earth. According to the parable, we find that it is futile, or it is creating more damage if you try to the weeds out of the seeds, because it will also attack or create problem for the wheat. So God allows it to grow like that, but at the end of the time, weeds will be collected first and burned in fire. Many times we find one great reality, that evil has got another evil within itself for its own perishing experience. It cannot survive ultimately. So perhaps our role will be to pray that the evil dies out faster. Another role will be, in the darkness of evil, try to light some candles, some lamps of our good example, holding on to the truth, working fast with justice, helping to flourish brotherliness, giving hope and peace to the people when the evil is doing otherwise. Our personal efforts, our personal sufferings, our personal commitment only will create a change in this reality. It's not good to fight against evil to create more problems in the society and create more evil for other people. Our great effort and commitment and good example should inspire more people to become good, to be truthful, to keep the rule of justice, to exercise the experience of fraternity, and to help each other for the common development. Let this be the great thought of this day that we take from the Gospels. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.